into moral judgments, such as, oh, well, they're just fill in the blank. Want to get political? We can talk politics. No, none of it. Everybody's like, hell no, don't go there, Jerry. Right? If I were to say a name, automatically, for whatever reason, it might poke a hole, stick a finger in your hole, right? That sounds funny. Let's say another way, like, pull your Band-Aid, okay? Right? Pull your Band-Aid. And you automatically move into focusing on what is wrong with that person. I can't believe they would say that. Have you ever done that? Right? Move into moral judgments. Oh, well, that person, fill in the blank, they just, they might have poor upbringing. No one ever taught them their values. No one ever taught them how to be a good person, etc. I automatically, potentially can move into, and block that compassion, move into focusing on making others wrong rather than looking at what those others' needs are and what are being communicated and needs that aren't being met. Automatically giving them blame, right? Another way, I start to make comparisons of those folks, right? Oh, well, she's just like fill in the blank, right? And then you start to categorize them into this group of people that are just icky. Because of and I could give an example, I'm thinking of unpolitical, I won't even go for it because there's too many to offend someone. But we automatically move into these making comparisons of them, like, oh, she's just like my mother-in-law, right? That applies to a lot of people. We automatically move into any denial of responsibility of my participation within that. Well, shit, it's her. She's going to get fired. The consequences are all hers. She's going to have to report to the boss. He's going to have to report to the boss. Move automatically in denial of responsibility. Well, I had no, it's them. There must be something wrong with them. They're not going to last long in this field. Right? I'm seeing a lot of heads going, yep, automatically. Last one, and this appreciate happens all the time, where we move into the idea of making demands on folks. And so we're coming, you will not talk to me that way again. Yes? Yes? Nobody wants to raise their hands? Yes? We move into that automatic, you will not talk to me that way. You will be professional.
My favorite one of that, I was just reassociating, my favorite one of that is I used to do a lot of work in residential, and residential workers would come up to me and say, he disrespected me. Well, of course he did. That's his job. He's an adolescent. It's that, you're being disrespectful. How effective is that communication going to be? It used to drive me nuts about no swearing in residential. And I went, hell, honey, how am I supposed to talk to these kids? Right? So that was my favorite one about when people say he was disrespectful. Whose reaction is that? Mine. Yeah? Now, I can either sit down, sit in the chair with him and say, okay, we're going to talk about respect, or I can just see it as this is his movie and he's got some kind of need that he's expressing and I need to figure out what that need is. If I'm caught in personal reaction of being disrespected, what happens to my ability to see what he might mean? It just goes to hell, doesn't it? It goes to hell in a handbasket. Okay.
And oftentimes in those moments, we will set stipulations that if you don't meet these demands, you will get punished. And we all do this. We're joking about it, right? Well, I shouldn't say all of us. Sharon's really good at this stuff. Really good at this stuff. But most of us don't do, automatically move into, well, here's one for you. I hear this all the time in relationships. If he does that one more time, that's it. I'm through. I'm out of here. You need to change. Am I right? Yeah. I moved into moral judgment and made a demand. Compassion gone. And put a timeline and put a consequence onto it. How's that going to work out in a relationship, folks?
You guys who know me know that I've been playing around on dating sites for the last 2 years, and I have so many stories to tell. Talk about mental health issues. Anyway. So one of the fellas I met broke up with his last lady who he'd been with for 3 years because she gave him an ultimatum. You marry me or else. he said, well, hell, if she's going to give me ultimatums about that, she's going to give me ultimatums about other things too. And so he took the or else. Right? So,
there are many times in communications where needs aren't being met. Mine or, if me and Sharon are in a communication, we both have competing needs, we can easily slip into not having compassion for that other person's need. And we're talking about across the board. We're talking about the families and youth you serve. We're talking about your colleagues, your leadership, your service workers, the people that you work with. We're not just talking about everyone, your relationships, your friends, everywhere. We do this all the time. Now, we obviously should be more compassionate with the people that you serve because that's your job, right? But the reality is we oftentimes slip unintentionally into the communication and getting our compassion blocked. You know, force field goes up. And I start responding to protect myself because my needs aren't being met. Not to hear and move forward with the conversation.
and that's one of the things, John Vandenberg, how many of you were in on John Vandenberg's talk this morning? Really good, right? He and I were talking about this at lunchtime, about, I was saying that for me, having been in wraparound for so long, one of the things that is absolutely necessary is to have warmth. I don't think you can be successful in wraparound and not have warmth. And when you are caught in these things, your heart just closes up, right? And you're coming from your ego, yeah? So, we have a little example here.